This is Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon. Mitch Lafon.
Welcome to Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon, and joining me on this episode from the band LA Guns, it is singer Phil Lewis. We talk about their new LA Guns Made in Milan CD, DVD, and here's what's exciting about this one. We did the interview last week, and we were going to promote the new Made in Milan Deluxe Edition CD, DVD, and talk about how the band is moving forward, how the new album, The Missing Piece, that came out earlier in 2017 was absolutely stunning, etc., etc., etc. And we even talk about guitarist Michael Grant. And, well, before I had a chance to put this up, Michael Grant got fired or left, but is no longer part of the band. And so here you have this band that has this live package out. They're firing on all cylinders. They just absolutely, in my opinion, the best lineup of LA Guns ever. And Frontiers was good enough to catch it on CD and DVD for this Made in Milan package. And then the band that was on this package doesn't exist anymore. And the interview was done just a few days before the news came out. So I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, it's a great interview with Phil Lewis. Always a pleasure to talk to Phil. I don't know about why Michael Grant is not there anymore. I personally believe he should be, but hey, I'm not in the band, and so I will continue to support LA Guns. I've always supported LA Guns and will continue to do so. But here, without further ado, the one, the only singer for LA Guns, Phil Lewis. We are talking with lead singer Phil Lewis of the band LA Guns. They new CD DVD coming out in March is Made in Milan. Good day, Phil. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Always a pleasure to talk to you, Mitch, and hello to your rocker fans and friends out there. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes.
This interview's long overdue. We should have done this 6 months ago, but we're both busy, so now's as good a time as any.
Yeah, so we should have been talking about The Missing Piece, but we've got the Live in Milan, but we can do it all. I mean, it's...
Yeah, sure.
In fact,
okay.
Let's talk about sort of the renouveau, the renewal of the band. You know, for years, fans had said you and Tracii should be together, and for years it wasn't a possibility. It became a possibility, and the results were outstanding. The Missing Piece, top 3 album of 2017, just absolutely fantastic. I've heard the Made in Milan CD. I was sent the audio. Talk about this renewal between you and Tracii, because there is a certain chemistry when you guys play together.
Okay, well, you know, we weren't, we never set out to do a reunion. It started out as a charity gig in Vegas around Christmas time that he agreed to play with Rudy Zarzo and his band Gunzo. And the promoter, Jason Green, gave me a call and said, look, Tracii's doing it. Would I be interested in getting up and doing a couple of songs? And it being a charity event, I couldn't really say no. I was in town, and I just, had to do it because it's a good cause, raises money for kids at Christmas time, and he was doing it, and he was doing the Raiding the Rock Vault residency as well. So we kind of got past the terrible stage in the band's history where there were 2 versions of the same band touring. I don't think I could have buried the hatchet under those conditions if he was still touring as LA Guns, but he wasn't. He'd quit calling it LA Guns. He called it Gunzo. He was doing his thing, as I said, the residency. And, I had no good excuse not to do this charity event. So I went and did 3 songs. We didn't rehearse. We didn't even sound check. It just showed I don't need to rehearse over the edge. I've been playing it, both of us. We've been playing it long enough to know how to do it. And it felt great, Mitch. It was good to see him. I hadn't seen him in a very long time. And and it was really nice, just hanging with him. And I told him I had an solo acoustic gig a few days later, and would he come up and maybe jam a few songs with me, which he did, and it was fun. And we hung out at his house working on my songs. And he was playing me some of his ideas for a new record. And I was really impressed. I was really blown away. And originally he was like, well, why don't you sing a couple for me? So, yeah, that was originally what I was going to do. I was just going to help him out with the record. It wasn't going to be an LA Guns record. It was going to be a Tracii Guns record. He already had the deal, all signed and sealed with Frontiers. But once I heard the caliber of the writing and the playing, I really wanted to be part of it. And I was getting a little frustrated with the Riley camp. We put out a great record, Hollywood Forever. And but that was a long time ago, and I thought it was ready for us to make another one. And he wasn't into it. He was dragging his feet. So I just kind of went with this Tracii thing, and it snowballed. It actually avalanched. And once I started, rehearsing with him, with the band, and it was just like, it felt really, really right. And then at that point, I was like, I can't do the other thing anymore. I've got to do this. And at that point, it became a reunion. But it wasn't cynically planned from the get-go. Like, not at all. It was very smooth. It was very organic.
You got to go with gut feeling over, or which is what feels right. But okay, so let me talk about this then. The band did, of course, change members many times. I mean, people will jokingly...
Oh, yeah, we got an outstanding record of it. I believe we've got 47 people that can say they were an LA Gun. That's so funny. I mean, it's funny now, but, it's terribly embarrassing. I mean, it was a really, really, really low point in the band's history, and I acknowledge, I accept that, it was a joke. It did become a joke.
And that was going to sort of be the question. It did sort of become comical, and I think I was even in the band for about 3 weeks. Right?
Yeah, I know. Right? I know, yeah.
But talk to me about the brand, because you have to rebuild it. And, when you think the missing piece the first time out and you think LA Guns, you go, oh, well, which 87 guys are going to... But the album was strong. Now you're touring. M3 Festival has just announced that you're going to be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
There is a seriousness and an appreciable value now to the LA Guns brand. Talk to me about rebuilding that, because you had to shed this sort of comical, sad sack, and I don't mean that insultingly, but it sort of became...
No, I completely agree. I mean, it was actually pathetic. But,
was it difficult?
That's yes, it was terrible. But that's the nature of our business. We're both professional musicians. It's how we pay our bills. And we may not like it, but that's our job. That's what we do. That's what we've always done. And it'd be great to say, oh, well, we're just going to go away and wait for the other thing to go away, or we're just going to call it a different name. You can't do that. You just can't, not at this stage in the game. So, it was pretty bad. But I've got to say, I have to, give credit. I think our lineup was pretty good. Our strong, with Stacey and Scotty and Scotty Griffin and Stacey Blades. The records that we made, I think that, I'm proud of them. That was good. But in hindsight, I don't think of it as LA Guns. I think of them, not to sound cocky, I think of them as being more of like a solo record, because I was so completely in charge of the process with Andy Johns, that they really, whereas opposed to this, I'm back with my partner, and it's not all what I want to do. It's not, he's got great ideas, I've got good ideas, and that's the chemistry. That's the important chemistry. That's the missing piece. Yeah. And he makes me work hard. He makes me work a lot harder than anyone I've ever worked with. He brings out stuff in me that that I'm kind of amazed myself that I can do. Some of that, the singing on the actual song, The Missing Piece, Gave It All Away, was a real stretch for me to do that kind of like sort of operatic metal, sort of almost like in a Dio kind of a thing,
yeah.
And I've always been kind of like, the Rod Stewart, the Steve Marriott kind of singer. So for me to cross over and do something like that was definitely a challenge, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out.
Oh, I am too. And by the way, the lineup before with Stacey, Tales from the Strip, the song Vampire, that is by far
Mm-hmm.
one of the greatest LA Guns songs, or Phil Lewis solo song. I mean,
Thank you.
that's a
Yeah.
fabulous song and shouldn't be discounted. But all right, let me get back to the discography for a second. Man in the Moon comes
Sure.
out 2001, Waking the Dead 2002. A left and right combination to the face, just two brilliant albums that just slug right at you, just boom boom, and then the band falls apart. Just talk to me about that time and those albums, because here you are, you came back, Man in the Moon comes out and people love it, and then Waking the Dead, people love it even more, and then whoop, we fall off the cliff. Was that frustrating? Was that expected?
I like both. I like Man in the Moon. It's kind of a sort of a funky record. Waking the Dead is a balls out metal masterpiece, in my opinion.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
And, we worked hard on it, and it sounds fucking great. Unfortunately, at that point, Tracii had become very disillusioned with the band and the management, what we were doing, the tours that we were doing, the festivals that we were on, and it was really grinding him down, because he felt rightly that we deserved better, and especially off the back of this great record that we just made. And we just weren't getting any kind of respect from our agent. It was just like just the whole status quo of it was grinding him down. And he had an opportunity. He wanted to do a side project. He did a side project, as we know, with Nikki, Brides of Destruction.
Right.
And surprisingly, strangely enough, I don't know why, but he just felt that he couldn't do both things. I thought it was great that him and Nikki had a side project together. But, we all know that Nikki wasn't going to leave Motley Crue. It was just a side project.
Of course.
So it didn't make sense, why Tracii would want to leave, but he was adamant about doing it. And it really sucked. He came in, we were doing the photo shoot for the record, and that's when he announced that he was done. And with the record's all done, it's coming out. We got a 60-day Alice Cooper tour, and Tracii just can't do it. He just cannot do it. He's got to bail. He bailed, and we had to decide if we were going to split up or keep it together. And we did. And funny enough, the first person that we got to help us out was Chris Holmes, because Steve knew him from Wasp. It was a funny sight to see old Chris Holmes playing the Ballad of Jane over there.
That is kind of funny. But let me put it this way: with The Missing Piece and Made in Milan, are those fears alleviated that history might repeat itself? Because here you've got another sort of lethal combination, 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Are we more comfortable now?
I don't think so. It is. I mean, Tracii is a lot more mature than he was back then. He's grown up a lot. We both have. He's had a kid. He's a lot more stable, and he's really more enthusiastic than I've seen him in a really long time. When I first joined the band back in '87, him and I, we were so close. We were such good friends. Unfortunately, it was kind of a short honeymoon, and the bigger we got, the more separate we became. We went in very different directions. But now I feel like I got my buddy back. I've got, we're having like our second honeymoon, and it feels great. We don't overstep each other's space. We make sure that, I give him his space, he gives me mine. So, we don't want to get frustrated. But yeah, I don't see it as having any. We haven't had any blowouts in the last 2 years since we've been playing together. We haven't agreed on everything, but it's all been very amicable, and it's great. No, so I think that this is solid.
And I sort of see it from the fans' perspective, because we really got what we wanted in 2001, 2002, and then and it's like, no, we can't do that again.
Yeah.
The missing piece is too damn good. And this Made in Milan, I know folks haven't heard it yet, but when you do, you'll hear this energy of this band that sounds hungry again. I mean, it's like you're 18-year-old again. You have something to prove again, and it's like, yeah, that's what I want. That's the LA. It's like you gave us back our LA Guns.
Yeah, I don't know too much about this Live in Milan record. I remember making it. I remember we flew out to Milan. It was a big deal. It was a Frontiers festival, and they were recording. We weren't the only band that they were recording for a live record. They had the whole mobile recording thing set up, and I remember it being an okay set. I'm a little disappointed that there's only one song from the new record on there, because now we play 3, possibly 4, and I think that's what people would really, that's what I would have liked, to have a bit more new stuff on there. But if it sounds good, and as you say, it's got that energy, it's got that rawness and hunger to it, then great. Then they got a good. All the gigs are good. We haven't had a bad gig.
No, I agree. Listen, I saw you in Ottawa, and it was one of the best gigs I saw in 2017.
Yeah, it was a good show. And some shows are more attended than others. I mean, God, we had a show up in Aberdeen, Scotland, in the middle of nowhere, like on a Wednesday night, and it was a beautiful old theatre, but there weren't a lot of people there. There had to have been about, I don't know, a gaggle. And do you know that whole gaggle that saw us in Aberdeen made their own way down to Glasgow to see us play the following night, because they had such a good time. They enjoyed the band so much. And we played the same set. If there aren't so many people, we sort of goof it up a bit, but we don't ever sell a crowd short, because there's not many people there. That's not the way we do it, because we're playing anyway. We love to do it. We love what we do, and it's great. Like, to not have that, it would be just awful. It's unimaginable. This is such a great band, and we enjoy each other's company and the music that we make together. And it's just, I'm absolutely pleased that there is some justice, and we are finally getting some recognition we deserve.
I agree.
And we had to wait a while for it, and we had to pay some dues for it, highs and lows. But yeah, it's good to be Phil Lewis and LA Guns right now.
It really is. And now, one of the other elements here, the missing piece, but Piece, is Michael Grant. He, of course, had his band End Ever After. Terrific band. That he really fits sort of the LA Guns mold, and he really sort of brings this energy, and of course he was a lead vocalist, and now he's doing the backing vocals, so he really rounds out what you're doing. Talk to me about Michael and having him in the band, because to me, LA Guns...
do you know how Michael ended up in LA Guns?
No.
We were auditioning for guitar players. Stacy had thrown in the towel. And we were in West Hollywood, and we put the word out that we were looking. We had several people come down, 8 or 9 people come down in the afternoon. And we had a terrible situation where the people that looked right couldn't play, and the people that could play didn't look right. It was like, we had a guy come down who was like, wanted to be like a No Doubt, that was dressed in a scar suit that would look absolutely ridiculous in LA Guns, but boy, could he play. And then, we had lots of typical, I don't know, just Black Tail Bride type style dudes that looked absolutely fantastic, but couldn't play for shit. And it was really frustrating. It was a really frustrating day. And then I just saw this guy come around the corner with a guitar case, under his arm, and he just looked great. And I was like, that's the kind of person I like in a band, something that was like that. And he's like, excuse me, got to go. He was like the White Rabbit down the hall. He was in his rehearsal room before I even got a chance to say hi. So I did the inconceivable. I actually went into another band's dressing room, and I approached the guitar player. I said, hey, I want to talk to you. As it turned out, it was his band that he was rehearsing. But yeah, and I said, look, think about it, because I think you look great. And he was playing that night at the Viper Room. He was doing a rehearsal for that gig. And he invited us down, and he was amazing. He was so amazing. And I was like, well, he was doing like a Prince tribute. And I was like, well, can you shred? Can you do like what's required? And oh boy, could he! And he's fantastic. And the combination with him and Tracii is just sparks flying off the stage every night. And Tracii loved him, loved his style. And Michael really looks up to Tracii as very much a huge influence, and that's great. They push each other.
Yeah, they really do, and that's what I noticed at that Ottawa show.
And Michael Michael brought in two really, really good songs on this record too. It's not just a performing and singing. He's a great writer too. Gunfight, Knife to a Gunfight, and The Devil Made Me Do It are both Michael Grant compositions.
Yep.
It really, we open our set now with Devil Made Me Do It, so he should feel good about that.
Yeah, and he'll feel good about this part. Don't Bring a Knife to a Gunfight is my personal favorite on the album. I just think
right?
Yeah, I just think it's brilliant. I love that song.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
Oh, it's fantastic, and there's really not. In fact, there's no bad songs on the album. It's just a solid album.
Thank you. It's not a one-dimensional record. There's so many different. Every song's a little bit different, as opposed to a lot of bands that everything sounds the same.
Yeah. There's a lot of texture to the whole thing. The album, of course, only came out in October, but you've got this live album coming out in March. Do we keep touring on it and keep it keep rolling on it, or do we say, okay, we have a spot, we have an energy, we have the fans' attention, let's put something else out there, let's give them some more to digest?
We're already working on the next one, the next new original record, but there's still so much from the record that we want to put in the set. We want to do live. We want to bring Fever into the set. We want to bring Sticky Fingers, because they're really, really, really good live songs. The problem is we play shows, people expect, we have to play Electric Gypsy, we have to play Sex Action, Never Enough, and The Ballad. There are certain songs that we have to play, the nuggets, as we call them. And so it's always a bit of a juggling act to figure out, where we're going to put the new stuff. And then stuff goes down great. For us to be, to expect from our fans to listen to 3, maybe 5 new songs. There aren't many bands that get away with that, but these are good songs, and we haven't had any resistance whatsoever. But if we went out and we did a show and we played Sticky Fingers and we didn't play Electric Gypsy, I think people would be a little bit pissed.
Yeah, they probably would be, and it's funny because I've heard those songs played live, dozens of times, and yet I would still be upset if I didn't hear them. 2013.
Exactly,
it's ridiculous, right? I mean, you go to a Kiss show and they don't do rock and roll all night. You go, what?
Yeah.
And yet you're like, you've heard it, It's funny.
Yeah, I mean, we work a lot. We play a lot of shows every week. If we didn't play so many shows, I think we'd play. Our set's already creeping into the 2-hour mark now. So, because we want to do so much, we've got so much to do. We've got such a great back catalogue of songs, and there are certain albums. We don't do anything from Man in the Moon. We don't do anything from Vicious Circle, and it's a shame because we just don't have time.
And of course, Vicious Circle had I Don't Want to Change the World on it, I believe, which was a nice cover.
Yeah, it was a great cover.
Great cover. 2013, you helped me out on a Kiss tribute record that I put together, and you did the song Master and Slave. I just wanted to take the time just to thank you for having done that, because it helped raise over $35,000 for a local palliative care home.
Oh yeah, that was great. I was happy to do that.
And that was just a great performance. And in fact, I will state it publicly for the record. I think that the LA Guns or the Phil Lewis version of Master and Slave is actually better than the Kiss version. And I mean no disrespect there, but I do. You know.
All right, I'll take that, Mitch. Thank you.
You know, and of course you had covered Kiss in the past. You had done "Do You Love Me" with the band.
Do You Love Me? Yeah.
With the band Girl. And there's
Tim Fowley called me up. Tim Fowley called me up at Jet Records, you know, because he was manager. He had a lot to do with Kiss around that time. And it was fascinating. He was a character. Boy, was he a character. And he just persuaded me. He goes, you do this song, kid, you guys are going to be massive.
Yeah, and you even made a video for it. So I encourage people to go to YouTube and check it out. Check out the video for "Do You Love Me."
Yeah, no, I'm proud of that.
Yeah,
Gene got upset. Gene Simmons got upset because we played it live in our set when we were opening for Kiss. He was livid. But I was like, Gene, I'm sorry, but we only know 9 songs. What are we expected to do?
That's the greatest story. That one of the great rock stories is that you played it live before Kiss on a Kiss show, and I think they threw you off the tour immediately or within.
Yeah, well, you know,
something like that.
It was mutual. The fill had definitely gone. But they didn't play it in their set, so I don't know what the big deal is.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, if it was you covering Rock and Roll All Night before the band comes out and play it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah,
but
that wasn't one of the songs in their set. You know, it was an awesome tribute. They should have taken it as a compliment. But no.
No, and I'll even add, especially at that time, because it was in the early 80s when their fortunes were diminishing rather than moving forward.
Right.
Probably wasn't a time to be sort of snarky. It might have just been a time but anyway,
well,
it was then.
You say that, but they were playing the places that they played in Birmingham and they played in Wembley Arena, and they're huge. Both of those venues were huge. So they may have been on the wane over here, but they were massive
in the UK
when we did that.
Well, fair enough. Phil, always a pleasure. Looking forward to seeing LA Guns at M3.
You're always welcome, my brother. It's good to talk to you. Thank you for the support you've given us over the many years that you've been following us. And you and I, we haven't always agreed on everything either.
No.
But we're good friends, and you're big. If this thing goes platinum, you're getting a copy.
Oh, well, I'm looking forward to it. But I am looking forward to seeing you guys at M3. In May.
Excellent. We'll have some beers then.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, sir. And let's talk soon. You too now. Cheers.
Looking forward to it. Okay, cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.
This is Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon. Mitch Lafon.